Welcome along to BBC Radio Leicester on this Thursday morning. Now, the next conversation that we're going to have and hear about is the assisted dying bill. So if you've got younger children nearby, I just want to turn down the radio for the next 5 minutes or so. Because next month, a landmark bill to give terminally ill people the right to end their life legally could move a step closer to being passed. Now, the bill on assisted dying is expected to come back to the House of Commons in its latest report stage. Elaine Stonehouse spent 2 years not feeling well and I just want to turn down the radio for the show this morning.
Ady Damon at breakfast.
BBC Radio Leicester.
12 minutes past 8 is the time. Good morning to you. Welcome along to BBC Radio Leicester on this Thursday morning. Now, the next conversation that we're going to have and hear about is the assisted dying bill. So if you've got younger children nearby, I just want to turn down the radio for the next 5 minutes or so. Because next month, a landmark bill to give terminally ill people the right to end their life legally could move a step closer to being passed. Now, the bill on assisted dying is expected to come back to the House of Commons in its latest report stage. Elaine Stonehouse spent 2 years not feeling well and had issues falling over. That was before being diagnosed with MND. Now 67, she's hoping for the bill to be passed. Well, David Needham was an active sportsman until 3 years of unexplained injuries. With the support of his wife, he visited the doctor before being diagnosed with MND2 in his 40s. He is against the proposed bill. Now, they've both sat down together explaining why they either support or are opposed to the bill.
David, you don't want MND to define you. I don't want MND to define me. Surely choosing to die takes back control.
I can see where you're coming from. I'm not sure that I agree with you. I don't think choosing to die takes control of anything. I would say that you have a choice that you can make now while you're still alive, in that you don't allow the disease to define you. You adapt to the scenarios that it throws at you and find a way through and continue to enjoy life. And I think that's possible.
I don't think you can enjoy life as much as you did. I mean, we used to go out Saturday night, down the pub, music, go out at 5, come back at 12, 1 o'clock. Now, you know, we go out at 5, we're home at 6, I'm in my jammies. So it does change your life.
Obviously, we're both watching very closely what's going on in Parliament currently. What are your hopes with regards to the direction we're going from here?
To be honest, I think they should just get on and pass it. You know, I know they need safeguards, but like, I don't know whether it's still in, they wanted judges involved. Judges don't know. It should be, if your doctor says you're terminally ill, which MND you are, you should be able to do it. What about you?
I completely understand where you're coming from. What I can't agree with is the potential risk that opens, or the doors that opens to other people in society that may not be able to fight their case so readily as you or I can. I hope very much that the bill gets thrown out. I don't think that will happen, but it's a bill that I can't possibly support.
But they are putting safeguards in, and there is always vulnerable people in society. You know, you've got to think, like, years ago, you couldn't have an abortion. You couldn't be cremated till 1902 because it was against the law. But these are all now things that just you take for granted. And assisted dying bill, we should be like the rest of the world, you know, New Zealand, America, Canada. If the bill was passed, do you think there'd ever be a chance that you will change your mind?
I've already visited that 7 times in my own mind, and every time I've come to the conclusion that no, I wouldn't.
I think your family around you?
I think I would take their opinions into account and give them the weight that it deserved. Could I say, in all honesty, absolutely never ever? No, but I think it very, very, very unlikely that I would take that choice.
David and Elaine there talking about their thoughts on the assisted dying bill. There is more of that. You'll be able to hear the full conversation on BBC Sounds as well. A message from Del Incise this morning. Morning, AD and the team. Assisted dying, definitely for. Assisted dying is about kindness, not shortening life, but by shortening the dying process when an assisted death has been requested by a terminally ill patient in pain. Del, thank you for your message this morning. Keep on coming in. 0808 100 1049. Text 81333 Leicester at the start of your message, or WhatsApp on 08000 321 333. Again, Leicester at the start of your message there. Fiona Burton is a counsellor at New Insight Therapy in Burbage and joins us this morning. Fiona, thank you ever so much for your time and for coming on the show this morning. Fiona, it's such a difficult conversation, but how important is it to talk about these issues with family?
Good morning, Eddie. Yes, it's really important to talk about these things. It's sadly, obviously, it's a part of life. We don't know what's going to happen to us. And any of us could face a difficult situation like this. And part of my work when I work with people is about having difficult, uncomfortable conversations with people that we're close to, people that we care about. And it's really important to think about, what you want to say. So if you're the person that wants to convey your wishes around, if it's end of life, if you have a terminal illness, if you're the one that wants to convey your wishes, but you know that it's going to be very difficult, it can be really helpful to think about, first of all, what you want to say. What is it that you want to get across? What are your wishes? And then think about maybe who you would like to talk to. So if you find it difficult to talk to the people that are close to you, you might want to talk to a nurse or a doctor, maybe that you have a good relationship with. Maybe if you do have a faith, someone in your church, someone who can help you really talk through based around your own beliefs, whether that's spiritual beliefs that you have, because a lot of those factors really can come into play as well. We have to be very compassionate and caring when thinking about everyone's individual beliefs. Also, another thing is to think about when to bring up a difficult topic of conversation. We really have to be careful about when we do this. So if you've planned what you want to say, how you're going to say it, you've maybe talked it through with someone who's not emotionally involved, you might want to think about when. So you want to think about a time when that person has got the capacity to have that conversation, that you can have their full attention, no phones to be disturbed. It's not something you can just talk about quickly. And also it can be helpful to think about how you want to say it. So sometimes I'll help people maybe write a letter, because writing a letter gets you to really sort out those thoughts in your mind. And even just writing a letter first can help you clarify what you want to say. And if you find that conversation is going to be too difficult, a letter can really help. Because obviously it's important to remember when you have these conversations that your own, when you're talking to someone about this, their own personal beliefs about death, suicide, assisted suicide, anything like that, has to be put to one side. So if you're the person listening, you have to be compassionate, sit on your own feelings and take time to think about what the person's saying before you react in an emotional way. So it's, if you're the listener, that's another thing. You have to be open to what that person's saying, because you have no idea what they're dealing with unless you've been walking in their shoes.
Fiona, thank you so much for your time this morning and for joining us on the show to give that insight of starting that conversation as well. Fiona Burton, there, counsellor at New Insight Therapy in Burbage. As I said, that conversation is incredibly powerful. You'll be able to hear the full conversation with David and Elaine on BBC Sounds a little later on this morning. Of course, you're welcome to get in touch. What do you make of this debate?